Hi, and welcome to Family Maker Camp. My name is Sandy Roberts, and I'm here once again with you to make some really fun projects. And I hope that you are ready to get building and engineering and thinking about some different ways that we can prototype today. Anyway, today's craft for Family Maker Camp, and make sure, if you haven't already, that you are following along on Family Maker Camp on Facebook, on YouTube. Join the newsletter. That way every week you'll get an update on new projects and different online workshops that we'll be doing. Anyway, I am a STEM educator and a makerspace coordinator, and I've been hosting maker camps since the very beginning. And I host maker camps pretty much everywhere that you can imagine, all over my area, at schools, at libraries, at homeschool groups, at churches, at farmers markets, and at pools. So I'm really excited to get to do this live streaming and interact with you guys and get to know a little bit about what's going on. And I see that we've got some people. Hi, welcome. If you have any questions during this, make sure you type them right in there, and I will do my best to answer them. If you see me looking over here, it's because my screen is over here. All right, so, I'm just going to mention today's project. We are going to be making some marshmallow shooters, and all the instructions are in my book, the big book of Maker Camp projects. So if you miss anything, it's in there. I'll see if we can get a copy of that up on the Maker Camp website too for you. So if you get lost or if you want more ideas, I've got a book for that. Okay, so what are we making today? This is one of my favorite things about summer. We make a ton of these every year in my family. And not only do we use them around the house and for parties, but our town hosts this huge 4th of July festival every year. And so we make a ton of these, all spray painted in different colors, and we bring them to the festival, and I sell them for like whatever they cost me, $2 or $3. And people just have a really great time with them. So for me, when I start thinking summer and I start thinking Maker Camp, this is one of those things that pops into my brain immediately. And it works really simply. You take a little mini marshmallow, you put it right in there, and let's see if I can hit the camera. Nope, it went right over. Sorry about that. Anyway, this is very inexpensive to make, and it just uses your basic PVC, okay, which is a kind of plastic vinyl style material. You can get it at pretty much any health food or hardware store, health food store. I don't think they sell PVC at the health food store. Any hardware store is going to carry PVC. And obviously you can customize it. I'm going to show you a really basic design like this today, but you can make it even more crazy and exciting if you want. So Pioneer Library System in Oklahoma. How cool. I'm in New Jersey. Anybody else from New Jersey? We've got a really gray, yucky day here in New Jersey today. I'm not enjoying it. But I have you guys to cheer me up, so I don't need a sunshiny day. All right, so basically this is about $2 worth of materials you need for this project. Okay, you need about 2 feet of 1/2-inch PVC. I use what's called Schedule 40. So there's a couple different types of PVC out there. You don't need anything that's like rated for really high pressure or anything like that. We're not putting a lot of pressure here. So this is what they call Schedule 40. Schedule 40, and you can get this in 10-foot lengths. They'll also cut it down for you at the store if you want. Usually, if you ask, but I'll usually just get whatever I can fit in my car and make a lot of them at once. So you need about 2 feet of 1/2-inch PVC. Now, if you can't get 1/2-inch, which is a very common size, you can use slightly larger. You may not get as much force when you're launching your marshmallows because more air is going to go around the marshmallow than behind it. You can't really do anything too much smaller because otherwise you won't be able to fit the marshmallow in there. So, just be aware when you're going to the store that if you're going to substitute, you might want to bring some marshmallows with you just to check. All right, so 2 feet of PVC. We're also going to need a couple of PVC fittings. So the easiest are the caps. These are the little 1/2-inch, again, PVC caps. And as you can see on our design, they go on the bottoms here. And that's because we don't want any of the air that we blow in. Yeah, I think I got something stuck in there. We don't want anything that we blow in to go out the bottom. We want all of that force from our breath, we want it to go through the marshmallow shooter and push that marshmallow out the end. So we want to make sure that we keep everything nice and tight. So those caps are really important. Don't skip those. The next thing you need are 2 elbows, okay? They're gonna go there, and they're gonna go there. Grab more of these. They come in bags of 5. So grab extras, because if you want to customize your marshmallow shooter, these are really, really helpful. So you just need the basic 90 degree. I like the nice curve to these because I feel like that doesn't restrict the airflow and it doesn't restrict the marshmallow. And last but not least, these T connectors. You need 2 of these as well. And they're going to connect our different pieces of PVC together. Okay, so that's why they're called a T connector. And again, that's a 1/2 inch piece. So you're going to need 2 of those, 2 of these, and 2 of the caps. And that is basically everything that you're going to use to build the actual marshmallow shooter out of. I'm just going to put my pieces over here so I'm ready. And if you're making them for like, you know, later on this year when we can all get together and you're making them for like camp, they sell like 10-piece bags, much more economical. Those cost about 25 cents a piece. Not bad at all. I wonder if you'd get more force using a bigger pipe and using a nozzle to get it back. That's a really neat idea, Eric. I'm seeing come in. And so what he's suggesting is that you could actually use a bigger pipe and then basically take a nozzle to force that air in, so you get more air on the back and then force it into a tighter space. And that might actually give you an even further, more force for your marshmallow. Okay, so those are the things we need to build. Now we need some tools. You have some options here. You can, if you have access to a little hacksaw, that works well. You might have a bigger one. This is kind of my dollar store version that I keep on hand. And that will help you cut your PVC. Now, if you are using a hacksaw, you definitely want to have some sandpaper around, because otherwise you're going to end up with what we call a burr, which means you're going to get a rough edge that's kind of raised or sharp around your PVC. So you're definitely going to want some sandpaper to take that off if you're going to go the hacksaw route. Personally, I make so many of these that I go with the PVC cutter. All right, and this, kids, if you are using this, you need parents to help you out with this. This is not safe. Okay, honestly. So the way that this works, okay, is you kind of ratchet the blade closed. Now this one's huge. Okay, you ratchet the blade closed and it's going to slice right on through the PVC. But you got to be careful with your fingers. You got to know what you're doing with this. Okay, put that aside. That said, speaking of safety, you're going to want a nice pair of goggles, okay, so that you don't end up with any bits of plastic in your eye. That's not pleasant. Trust me on this one. And of course, you're going to need a tape measure or a ruler, anything you have to measure with. And you're going to need a good marker, because we want to make sure that our measurements are fairly precise. Now, we are going to talk a little bit about decorating later, and we'll get into that. But right now, I thought we would get straight to building. So I'm going to put up our our diagram now, and I like to do all my measurements first, and then just cut it up and assemble. So let's see. We're going to switch over to the document camera. Okay, here we go. I'm going to move all my pieces out of the way so that I can show you what we're building, the schematic, as it were, because we're engineers. Here we go. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I forgot to mirror this. Let me do that real quick. My apologies. That way we can see this properly. There we go. That's much better. Okay. So, here we are. We've got our diagram. This is based on the How-Toons design from years ago. It was a really cool comic strip that Make featured. I think they still feature it. I just adjusted it some because I found that some of the pieces that they had were really tough to cut, especially when I'm working with kids. And thanks, I just saw that Make has posted the diagram so you can print one off for yourself. And I just want to give a little shout out to my sister Jen. She's actually the one that did this diagram for me. She's the artsy one. I'm more sciencey. Okay, so our PVC we're going to cut into a long 6-inch piece here. Okay, and that's the front nozzle of our shooter. Then we're going to have a couple of 4-inch pieces, this 4-inch piece. This you can adjust a lot depending on your preference and what you find comfortable. I've seen designs where this is much shorter. I don't personally like that because then I feel like I've got this in my, bend in my chest all the time, and I don't particularly like that. So I measured mine so that it kind of comes up flush with the end here. Then we've got a bunch of 3-inch pieces, so forming the rest of our barrel, and then basically our handles. Okay. Now this piece, again, this you can vary a lot. The original design calls for just a 1-inch piece in here. I do 2 inches because I find that is just really tough to cut at a 1 inch. But if you want more separation here, again, it's a comfort thing. You may want a little bit longer. I also did want to design this so that I could basically do all my cuts from a 2-foot piece of PVC, which means I get 5 shooters per 10-foot section. And since I need 2 each of these connectors, and they come in bags of 10, I like being able to have like an even 5 for every piece of 1/2-inch PVC I get, when you get the 10-foot lengths. So that's the basics of what we're building. Okay, let me get my tape measure. Okay, here we go. Lock that down. And I apologize, my hands, I'm looking at them on camera. Wow. I've been in the garden pretty much nonstop, as you might guess if you were here for my upcycled Victory Garden workshop that I did. So it's been pretty much nonstop gardening. I unfortunately had some rats get into my asparagus. I lost all my plants. So we had to build, oh, that was a terrible job there, Sandy. See, I'm coming at it from an angle. But, so that's I'm marking just on the side. You don't have to be like crazy about this. So, and I'm going to just label it so I know what I have. Now I'm going to mark my 3 inchers. Let's see, got 9. And again, I should stand up to actually see what the heck I'm doing. And I need 1, 2, 3, 4 3-inch pieces. And last one. So, and again, I'm going to take a second, label it. Like they say, measure twice, cut once. Well, as a scientist, former scientist and engineer, and as a teacher, I label everything. All right, now I'm going to do my 4-inch piece here. Okay, and I'm going to mark that. And then that just leaves me my little 2-inch piece right here. And it depends on how careful we all are, I suppose, on our measurements. Sometimes the pieces that you get from the store will be a little bit larger, especially if they were cut by the store. Okay, so there we go. I've got all of my pieces marked. Doesn't take long at all. You can, if you're going to make a lot of these, what I'll do is I'll notch out each of these lines, and then I just have a jig, and I'll just mark off pieces really quickly. But for today, I'm just making the one. All right, now, like I said, this is the scary part, right? They do sell these. This is a really big version of this because I'm actually in the process of prototyping a large large bubble machine. So I needed something that could cut 2-inch wide or 2-inch diameter PVC. So they sell smaller versions of these cutters. You don't have to get this giant version. And that might be better for little hands. And, my kids do use the PVC cutter. It is very safe if you're careful. So here we go. This is the magic part. Right on through. Ta-da! And so, as you can see, what I like about this, there's a nice smooth edge. I don't have to sandpaper it or anything. Now, sometimes you might see it's not perfectly straight. You get better at it as you practice. I'm going pretty quickly right now. Honestly, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You're not going to notice unless you're really, really off. All right, here we go. Maybe I should have Julia Childs this one and had pieces pre-cut, but I don't know. I like using this thing. I think it's fun. There we go. Pop it open. There's a card game out there called Guillotine, based on the French Revolution. And every time I do this, because I'm a little bit morbid, I think of that game. Okay, where's my line? Looking. There we go. And I'm being really careful today. I don't want them to go flying on me. And this is why I say wear the goggles. I'm wearing mine. You know, you just don't want to take a chance with one of these flying into your eye or injuring anybody. The other thing I will say is if you are a first-time user of a tool like this, you would want to start on the largest piece so you can keep your fingers far away. I kind of went the other way around. That wasn't just because I'm really used to using this. But if you start on the 6-inch piece on the other end, that gives you a little more space if you're nervous about the cutter. And last cut. Here we go. All right. So that wasn't too hard, right? Got all of our pieces together now. And, oh no, I'm dropping everything. Here we go. Oh, paint from last project. Oh well, makes it colorful. All right, so now we're going to just refer to our diagram again. Right, and we're just going to go ahead and assemble. So I've got my 6-inch piece, again, cleverly marked so I know what I'm doing. And that's going to fit into a T. Now you might be wondering why I'm not using any kind of adhesive like purple primer that will actually bond these. And that's because, in all honesty, sometimes the marshmallows get stuck in there, especially if they're sticky on a warm summer day. And I like to be able to take these apart and clean them out if I need to. And I also like to be able to swap things out and maybe make a longer barrel, because a longer barrel will affect the accuracy of your shooting. So I don't use any kind of adhesive. I just force fit them in. They stay really well. I've never had trouble. Let's see, I've got that's my 4-inch. See, this is why we label 3-incher. I'm just going to make the barrel first. Attach my T. Now, you want to kind of take a second, make sure that they're lined up. Okay, you don't want a weird cockeyed creation here. Another 3-inch. And my bend. Okay, that looks good. Oh, see, this is why we check. Look at how that's kind of twisted. Oh, let's twist this nicely. This is the other reason I don't like to, put any kind of permanent adhesive on there, because, life isn't perfect. You got to give yourself some room for mistakes. Okay, you've got your 3-inch, and then your cap goes on there. So that's one handle done. I've got my last 3-inch piece and my last cap, just like that. And now we're going to build the top portion. And that's where I was saying this piece you can customize a lot. I didn't like having such a tiny, tiny piece in there. And then your final elbow, again, make sure that it's kind of straight. Everything's lining up. And your mouthpiece. Now, you can, of course, just go ahead and use it. Ta-da! Okay, there we are. But, if this came from the hardware store, you don't know where it's been. Right? So you may want to go ahead and just get yourself some isopropyl alcohol and wipe this all down, because you are going to be putting your mouth next to it. The other thing that you can do is, and I'll kind of show you this, is that if you put your hand around the mouthpiece and close it with an extra inch or so, that way you don't have to worry about putting your mouth actually on the PVC, if you can kind of see that. So I'm just kind of putting it in there. Okay. I actually keep a spray bottle of isopropyl alcohol around just in case, so that we can keep everything nice and clean. So that is your basic marshmallow shooter. What do we think so far? Does that look pretty easy to build? That's not too hard, right? Now, you may want to go ahead and make some modifications on this. Some common things that people like to do. If you take apart this front, you can add your T this way, and let me get a little more PVC and a couple of extra pieces. Where are my extras? Here they are. So if I take this and I cut, again, I'm just going to get my tape measure, because I'm going to make this a double shooter. my tape measure. Dun, dun, dun. Someone, Dan just posted this, the 2020 Corona Blaster. I like that. At the very least, we can make this experience more fun, right? So I'm just going to cut a couple 2-inch pieces. And I am not kidding about being obsessive about labeling. Okay. I'm just going to give those a real quick cut. Sorry. Just give me a little bit of a... There we go. Now we're clicking. This is going to make sure that you have your hand strength, that's for sure. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to measure another 6-inch piece, so I have a second nozzle. Marking that. And there we go. So what I can do now is modify your basic gun with some 2-inch spacers here, right? A couple more of these elbows here, and let's see if you guys are gonna be able to see this. So what I've done is made a single shooter a double, and you can twist this either way. And I'm going to show you that as we switch back to the other camera, so we can talk a little bit about making these look fabulous. All right, so here's my double blaster. Okay, this makes me think of the Starship Enterprise for the Trekkies out there. I don't know why, just something about the shape. So you do lose a handle, but you get the ability to blow 2 marshmallows. Which brings me to an important point. There is a matter of some debate in my household when it comes to where to put the marshmallow. My kids like to put the marshmallow here. They say it gives them the most force and they get a better launch. Oh, that one got stuck too. My marshmallows are very, yeah, they are sticking today. They must have gotten sticky. Oh dear, this is what happens when I leave them sitting in the sun. Not really the smartest thing. But that's why I don't like to put it in the mouthpiece. They swear you get more launch that way. I'd like to put them right in there and I'm trying not to actually hit the camera. But that way you can launch too. Now you might be saying, Sandy, that is just not enough force for me. My air from my lungs is not enough. There are some things that you can do. So, idea number 1 is the humble. Oh, I should have opened my package. I had a package of balloons that hadn't been opened before. That never happens to me. Like, never. Okay, so, balloon. Okay, I'm going to twist it, and... Okay, so if you don't want to put your mouth on it, you can try using different size balloons. I actually find the smaller balloons give a better puff, because you're going to find when you want to use these things that a puff of air is going to give you a lot better launch than kind of a you're not blowing away dandelion seeds. Okay, you're like nice strong puff. And again, you can put your hand around the mouthpiece and blow that way. That works just fine. So you could try using different size balloons if you want to get a launch that way. Another thing that works, this is actually a balloon pump, okay? And then I have just one of these little, if you've ever seen them, they're like little jar openers. So I just use it as a little bit of a gasket. They cut really easily. You want to make sure it's going to be at least the 1/2 inch to cover that. And you're just going to cut a little hole in the center. And you're going to push the balloon pump through that little piece of foamy plastic. And that can go here. Now, you're going to want to make sure that you duct tape that down. But with that little gasket in place and your balloon pump, you now have the ability to kind of rapid fire, which is kind of cool. So that's an easy hack. These are sold at the dollar store. Now, that may not still be enough power for you. I understand. I get it. You may need to go full on can of air. So these are typically sold as like dusters for computers. And you can take one of these and use the same kind of idea of a gasket. Or if you take a wine cork and kind of shave down the outside so it actually fits in to the mouthpiece, and then use an awl or a screwdriver to make a hole through the wine cork, you can insert your can of air. You don't need this long piece. You insert the can of air, and that's going to give you like considerable force for your crazy marshmallow shooter. But that is 100% if mom and dad say it's okay. Do not go using dad's can of air if he is not okay with that, or if she is not okay with that. Marshmallows are not food. I would agree with you. Why are we wasting food? You don't have to use marshmallows for what it's worth. These work really well with pom-poms. I've used pom-poms in them. I actually will sometimes put tiny little dog treats in them and go outside with my dog, and she loves trying to chase them. So you do not have to use marshmallows. I use marshmallows because, like I was saying earlier, when I do these at the 4th of July or I do these at the farmer's market, I'm usually making hundreds of them, and leaving pom-poms or something that isn't biodegradable in the lawn or in the parking lot isn't really a good thing. At least with marshmallows, it rains, they dissolve, they're gone. The ants are happy. So I try to use something that's not going to leave a mess behind whenever I can. Oh my gosh, this is bringing back memories. So way, way, way long ago in 2012, I was at, maybe 2013, I was at New York Maker Faire for their Educators Day. And I decided to do things like this and little marshmallow catapults. And I don't know if they really understood the description of what I was doing, because they had me inside the first day. The janitors did not appreciate me. There were marshmallows everywhere. I mean, everywhere. So this is definitely outdoors only, please. Okay, kids? We are not shooting marshmallows around the house if we can avoid that. If you're doing it around the house, maybe pom-poms are a better idea. So we are talking about, so now as far as decorating them, you can get really creative. You can see that mine are basically just, spray painted with a little bit of spray paint. You can use Sharpies, that will work as well. Things like acrylics, certainly temperas or poster paints aren't going to adhere to your PVC very well. I do recommend, if you want to spray paint it or use any other treatment, that you sand down the whole exterior before spray painting, because you can see even mine has gotten nicked up over time. You do want to use, I prefer the Rust-Oleum makes a paint specifically for plastics. It works really well on this. You do want to do that outdoors, and you want to make sure it has time to cure. Because they can get really sticky if you do that in a human environment. But the spray paint works really well and sticks really well. And there's tons of colors. I love doing these. I did a steampunk birthday for my daughter a couple years ago. And we did all kinds of metallics. And then they decorated them with like gears and crazy stuff like that. So that's really fun. The other thing you can do is get out your good old-fashioned duct tape. Duct tape is awesome for this project. If you can find the thinner duct tape, that one's really cool because it makes this a little bit easier. But, oh my goodness, here we go. You can tear a strip, and I'm having trouble with my duct tape today. I'm actually going to add a little bit to my red one here. When you are using your duct tape, you're going to want to kind of go in a spiral. So, actually, you know what? I'm going to start from under so you don't see it. And you're just going to attach your duct tape, and then spiral it on. And you may have a different way of doing this. That is totally cool. It's your marshmallow launcher. You do you. So yeah, I'm just coming around like that and kind of giving it a little bit of a stripe. And so you can kind of see that you can do that. Okay. And you can cover the whole marshmallow shooter that way if you want. All right. So that is the basics. Any questions on putting these together? Anyway, I see some people are concerned that these are guns. Honestly, I have not had any trouble. I've never had anyone be violent or cruel with one another. We always remind the kids that you wear goggles and that you're launching the marshmallows usually at a target. We don't treat them as weapons. We treat them as something to build and to, like I said, we have a couple little, targets that they can shoot at, or we'll put out bowls that the kids are shooting into. It is a really fun way to play with force and motion and to talk about acceleration and momentum as well. So while I can certainly understand that there may be concerns, like I said, I've never had anyone get violent or use them in an inappropriate way. Anyway, let's see. Any other questions? Oh, hi, Gabriella from Maplewood, New Jersey. How cool is that? Yay, I'm not the only one here from New Jersey. All right. Oh, hi, Asia. We are making a little marshmallow launcher, a little marshmallow shooter. And so the idea is that you put a marshmallow in there and you blow into the front and it launches your marshmallow. So it's made out of PVC, and the diagram should be in your comments below. I have one other really simple project for you along the same lines. And these I do a lot at the, at the pool. I did them one year for Maker Faire, New York, actually, which was really fun. And for this, all you need is a piece of pool noodle. You need that balloon, a pair of scissors, and a bit of tape, a bit of duct tape. So we're going to switch cameras so I can show you how to do this. Watermelon seeds. Gabriella is saying you could use watermelon seeds to launch. They might work. They might be a little small, so you may need to go with a 1/4-inch diameter if you're using a smaller material to launch. So you can definitely experiment with that. Let's see. I'm going to switch to the document camera real quick to show you how to make this. This is a really easy one. They go together really quickly. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our pool noodle. Again, you want something that's about 3 to 4 inches. So I'm just going to mark that. Oh, where did my marker go? I lost my marker. Here it is. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do, what do I want to do today? I'm going to do 3 inches so I can get the most out of them. All right. So this is good. Sometimes at the end of the season, your pool noodles are beat up, or, I volunteer at our pool, and inevitably pool noodles are left behind at the end of the season. So rather than see them go to waste, I save them, and the following season we make these. So I've got a 3-inch section of pool noodle here. Now I'm going to take my balloon. I need to cut off the top of the balloon, but I am going to go ahead and I'm not going to mark that. You really don't need to. So about 1/3 of the way down, you're just going to cut it like that. Okay. All right. Now, this is always the hardest part. We're going to stretch that balloon over our pool noodle like that. I'm going to go ahead and grab some tape, my duct tape, which is presently a bit of a mess after cutting strips just a minute ago. Sorry. There we go. A little bit of duct tape, and then you're just going to tie a knot as close to the base of the pool noodle as you can. You want to get it really tight in there. Okay. Like that. All right. And then I find sometimes you may want to put, depending on the inner diameter of your pool noodle, you may actually want to take like a little extra piece of material, which I just cut, and just kind of push it in there because otherwise what happens is the marshmallow, when we launch it, will disappear. It'll get lost in there, especially after a couple uses. And then all you're going to do is put some marshmallows in there, and let's see if I can get this on camera. Nope, I can't. There we go. I'm going to do it on the other camera so you can see. So that's a really quick and easy, inexpensive activity, especially if you have, like I said, pool noodles aren't looking so hot at the end of the year. Ooh, did you see that one? I don't know if these are showing up on camera at all. So that's a really fun thing to build. And again, you can talk to kids about the inner diameter and how that will affect the launch. You can talk to them about how this is going to wear over time and it's going to stretch, and you're going to have to tie that knot again. You may want to talk a little bit about the types of materials used. And you can also use a plastic cup or a water bottle. Like I said, this kind of started because they were leftover pool noodles at the pool, and I didn't want to go and use something else. So I was just finding a way to use these. All right, air cannon. Air cannons are cool. Actually, I'm hoping a little bit later in the month that we can talk about some rocket launchers. And if you haven't already found it, on the Make site, there is instructions for making a really large rocket launcher that uses a solenoid from a irrigation system to actually release the air. So take a look for that, because that is a great little air cannon that I use all the time. My kids love it, and you can get a lot of fun designing your rockets. So that's a really cool one. Any other questions? Any questions, guys? We've got a couple of minutes left. If anybody has any questions. I'm looking. Not so much. All right. Well, I will be back soon with PVC stomp rockets. So you'll just need, again, some PVC. Get an extra 5-foot length while you're at the store, or order it from your hardware store. And we will be using soda bottles, okay? Just reusing those old soda bottles and some PVC to design our own paper rockets. And we'll talk about what makes a good paper rocket and how we can design our own rockets, adjusting the fins, the weight in the nose, to get a really good launch out of our stomp rocket. So that's coming up really soon. If you're looking for other projects, I'm always going to let you know. My book is available. You can get it Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Google Play. So it's available for instant download if you're not ordering books right now or having trouble getting them. It's got a ton of different projects, including the 2 that I showed you today, and the stomp rocket that we'll be doing in a couple, I don't know, maybe next week. I have to look at the schedule. Days have just kind of merged into one big long day at this point, haven't they? Yes, Gabriella, this is my book. So I am the Sandy Roberts of the Big Book of Maker Camp Projects. As I mentioned at the beginning, I've been doing Maker Camp with Make since the very beginning. I was one of the first affiliates, and it's basically the highlight of my summer. I absolutely adore working with kids and getting out there into the outdoors and making new things and using that maker mindset to really create and have fun together. I don't know what's going to happen this year. I don't think any of us really know what the future holds right now. I'm hoping that camps will happen and we'll be out there. And if you are someone that runs camps, please, check this out. If you have any questions, you can get in touch. But if you aren't able to do camps, all of these projects are perfectly adaptable to home. I've done a lot of them at home. A lot of folks I know have. They're really adaptable to the classroom. I try to give any science connections that I can, because I am a science teacher by trade. Actually, I'm a biochemist who became a science teacher. It's been a weird journey. So yeah, this is my book. And if you have any questions, you can reach me at sandy@enrichscience.com. I love answering questions. You can find me on Twitter too. So that is what the future holds. That is some other ideas for projects. Make sure, if you haven't already, that you sign up for the newsletter at Family Maker Camp, because every week you'll get new ideas and an update on all the amazing workshops that they're offering. Code Joy is doing fantastic stuff. Mario, the magician, is just like an inspiration. He just makes me smile. I think Brown Dog Gadgets has been on with some light up things. There's just too much. I can't even, my brain is bursting. Oh, and Dr. Sparks with his typewriter. So there are so many amazing things that are on Family Maker Camp. So I hope that you come back and find lots of other inspiration and keep making with us. And So Asia, if you want to know when the next session is going to be, definitely sign up for the Family Maker Camp newsletter. Okay, and that way you'll get the schedule each week. All right, well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today, as it were. This was my first full live stream for Make. I have kind of a difficult Wi-Fi connection out here. I'm in a very rural area, so I'm really glad this all worked out. Thanks so much for joining. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care of one another, and make something new today. All right? Bye. I will see you all really soon. Oh, Sweden. Okay.